What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another yapping session. Today I want to share with you guys how I stay up to date and also how you can stay up to date in the world of tech, in the world of AI, machine learning, new models being released, new stuff happening all the time, benchmarks, papers, announcements, bugs, vulnerabilities. So much is happening. Every day seems to be breaking news. And in this video, I want to share my strategy, my news sources, how do I deal with all of this. And it doesn't require a lot of time investment to sort of stay up to date. So this is what I want to talk about today. It's going to be another yapping session like last Wednesday. You guys seem to enjoy that a lot. So if you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button and subscribing. But now let us get right into it. Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit today about staying up to date in the tech world, specifically in the AI ML space, and I want to just show you a couple of sources that I use, a couple of approaches. I have, again, a habit that I use here to stay sort of up to date, and I want to get started right away with the first and most important source, in my opinion, my favorite source by far, which is called Hacker News. Now, the name says hacker. It doesn't really have to do too much with cybersecurity and hacking. For the most part, it's just tech-related news. So you can see oftentimes stuff like a new model was released here. Mercury 2, fast reasoning LLM powered by diffusion. Interesting. Sometimes people just show tools like Pi, a minimal terminal coding harness. Sometimes people post papers like Turing completeness of GNU Find. And as you can see, this page doesn't look super fancy. We don't have images. We don't have anything here for engagement or ads or anything like that. We have titles, we have upvotes, we have comments, and we have links. So for example, if I'm interested in this paper, I click on this, it takes me to archive. I can take a look at the paper, and that's basically it. If I read the paper and want to see what people say about it, I can go to comments, and people usually have very respectful and competent discussions for the most part, more so than on any other platform I know. And yeah, all in all, this is super interesting because every time something new happens, a new model from OpenAI, Anthropic, open source, whatever, I click on it, I can see what's happening here. Maybe I have an opinion, maybe not. Maybe I just skim through it, and then I can see what people say about it. For example, maybe there is a model with super strong benchmarks, but then the first comment might say something like, okay, but this is fake or this is misleading because of X, Y, Z. And then someone else can respond, but you're not entirely correct because of A, B, C. And then, as I said, pretty respectful and competent discussions happen here. So this would be a diffusion model for reasoning, an LLM here, powered by diffusion. And then people have here, for example, this guy says it could be interesting to do the metric of intelligence per second. So that is an idea. And then here he says, I think there's clearly a speed is a quality of its own axis. So the discussions on the one hand are interesting if you don't want to read the full article, but also they give you context, they give you information. So especially if you're learning, it makes sense to read what people say about it because they're going to use certain terminology, they're going to have certain insights, certain opinions that can contribute to you becoming more competent in the field in general. So just reading this every day for a couple of minutes, I think is a very good habit. And this is actually what I do right now. I have a sort of habit, let's say, it's not a commitment, but an almost everyday habit similar to my coding habit, where I spend at least 15 minutes on Hacker News, or let's say on news-related stuff in the tech field, or tech-related stuff, tech-related news, let's put it that way. And if there's nothing interesting, for example, maybe here I'm helping my dog Vibe Code Games, might be interesting. You can go to this page and you can read it, and maybe you learn something too. You probably learn something too, but this is more like an entertainment with education type of thing. I'm mostly looking out for stuff that is a new model being released, or a new technique, a new paper, a new breakthrough, a new vulnerability, or something that is relevant to me personally. So here, for example, also Claude Code Remote Control. What is that? It's a new feature, seems like, which says you can continue local sessions from any device with remote control. Sounds interesting. So that is the idea of Hacker News. You can filter here by new. Then you get posts that are not necessarily upvoted. Maybe no comments, maybe no upvotes. You can also go here to Ask Hacker News. This is mostly a format where people ask a question. There's no link associated to this. So for example, share your productive usage of OpenClaw, and you can see what people text here or people write here. And you can also collapse these comments if you're not interested in the first two, for example, and then you can just take a look at the rest. I personally, as I said, like Hacker News a lot. It's my #1 source to stay informed. If you pick just a single one to go with, I would recommend Hacker News, because here you will find every model release, every new technique, every breakthrough. This is the best source in my opinion. The second news source I use is X. And by the way, if you're not following me on X, you can do that if you want to. I do some random posts here and there on an almost daily basis here. But on X, you find a lot of stuff that is not tech and not interesting, but you also find a lot of tech stuff, which is, for example, here, Qwen 3.5 is now available in LM Studio, if you're interested in that. And I mainly follow tech people, so I don't get all the politics stuff for the most part. I don't get stuff that is just, entertainment. I mostly get benchmarks and releases and ideas and opinions in the tech space and people reacting to it. So for the most part, it's just that. Here and there you get stuff that's not interesting, then you can just scroll past it. But it's, for the most part, tech related. And I would recommend you do the same thing. So if you go to my profile and you look at who I'm following, it's not exclusively, but for the most part, it's companies that are in the AI space. It's people that are doing something with AI, something with philosophy, something with tech, CEOs or people building stuff. You can see all of these are tech guys, which means that for the most part, when I go to home, I see stuff that is tech related. Now, my opinion is that the discussions here are not as high level and competent as on Hacker News, obviously, because it's, first of all, much shorter, much more compressed. And also people are trying to be funny, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, in my opinion, not the best way to be up to date and to educate yourself by reading discussions. But you can follow interesting people like Peter Steinberger or other AI people and get up to date here as well, or stay up to date here as well. Source number 3 would be LinkedIn. Similar principle. The only difference is the feeling, the vibe. It's more corporate, it's more professional. You still get up to date stuff. You still get opinions in the tech field. Here, for example, you can see George Hotz posting something. He's mainly using it like Twitter, I feel, like X. But I have a lot of EU related stuff here. For those of you who don't know, I live in Europe, in Austria to be precise. So I always get a lot of entrepreneurial tech type of stuff from Europe on my page here, which is also interesting. And LinkedIn is good to stay up to date, but it's also good to connect with people. So LinkedIn is good for networking and posting and commenting about stuff that is happening maybe in your country, in your industry. That's also a source I like to use. Then one of these sources I should be using more often, I think, is machine learning, the subreddit machine learning on Reddit. Here we have discussions, here we have projects, and I don't think that this is necessarily the best way to stay up to date on what's happening right now. I think Hacker News is better for that. But this is nice for, again, educating yourself, reading discussions, understanding what different people think about things, understanding their reasoning, looking at discussions, seeing why people disagree. The problem occurs not only for Snapdragons and then say I implemented, people sharing their experience, people having opinions. I think that the machine learning subreddit, for the most part, is a pretty competent space on Reddit. Reddit can be very different depending on where you are and which subreddit you are. Some are insufferable, but in this case, the machine learning subreddit, I think, is kind of nice. I think it's well moderated. So this would also be an extra source here, not necessarily to stay up to date, but to maybe educate yourself by reading discussions. And then finally, the last two sources are YouTube channels. One is Fireship and one is AI Explained. These are my two favorite YouTube sources for staying up to date. Fireship does more than just AI. He does also stuff about .NET, about different databases and different frameworks that were released. But also he does stuff like OpenClaw, and he does stuff like AI is replacing SAS, or new models being released and all that. And AI Explained is more targeted towards specifically people interested in AI. As the name already says, here we have new model releases, benchmarks, everything here is sort of up to date. You don't get it the same day. So if you want to have the real-time news, again, Hacker News is the best source. But here you get more detailed discussions, reading the model cards, reading the technical reports and everything. I think this is a very high-quality channel for being up to date with what's happening as well. So yeah, these are basically the sources that I use to stay up to date when it comes to tech, AI, and machine learning. As I said, I have a habit. I try to do this for 15 minutes a day, reading news, staying up to date, and usually it's enough to understand the most important stuff that's happening. And my major source is Hacker News. The other ones are kind of extra. I browse them occasionally, but my main source of information is definitely Hacker News. And also, in addition to the habit, and in addition to the 15 minutes that I use every day, I also do it all the time on the subway, when I'm going somewhere, when I'm maybe in the gym. In between sets, I also try to scroll X or Hacker News, not because I have to, it's also interesting, right? You don't need to make this something that you don't want to do, but I would recommend, if you want to stay up to date, invest like 15, 20, 30 minutes a day just browsing Hacker News or the relevant subreddits. So yeah, that's it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. Also, in case you're interested, on my website, you will find a tutoring tab and a services tab. There you can contact me if you need help with a project, if you need a freelancer, if you need some consultation, or if you want one-on-one tutoring, you can contact me via email or LinkedIn. Besides that, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching, see you in the next video, and bye.